Hello everybody and welcome back to Random Vids. Today, as the title says, I'm going to be ranking all the SpongeBob seasons. So if you don't know, there is currently 12 seasons out with 13 on the way, but because 13 isn't finished yet, I don't think it's fair to rank 13 yet because that would be unfair because, not all the episodes are out yet. So this is only going to be seasons 1 through 12. For quick history lesson, many people SpongeBob is a really interesting show because the first 3 seasons are what many people consider the classic seasons. Like these are the golden era of SpongeBob. We got the SpongeBob movie then in 2004 and that was supposed to be the end of SpongeBob. But then we ended up getting more seasons because we got season 4 and 5 and stuff. The difference is that after the SpongeBob movie, a lot of the original creators left, so we got a lot of new ones. So a lot of people weren't really sure how these new seasons would go. And I'm sure many people could say that season 4 wasn't bad, but as it went on, the show just really lost its originality that it used to have. A lot of the characters became very one-dimensional, and overall the show just became just for kids. And there was a lot of filler stuff in there as well, if you know what I mean. And overall it didn't look like it was going to improve at all. But then something happened where I don't know, but I guess they finally started realizing what was wrong with SpongeBob and they started to turn things around again. Around, I want to say, season 8, I think, is when they started realizing their mistakes and they started to turn things around again. And even around like season 9 or so, some of the creators ended up coming back to help with help with the struggling show. And they even made 2 more movies in the meantime. And right now we're back to good SpongeBob seasons and episodes again. That's good because I missed these days. I missed the classic era because there were so many good episodes in there. But the modern era, I really like the modern era as well. But the question is, what season is the worst and what is the best, in my opinion? Before we begin, I would like to say this these rankings are just my personal opinion. I'm not judging you as a person if you hate or like something that I don't. I'm just saying my own opinion on how I feel about either these episodes or these seasons. So don't take it to heart because I'm not judging you as a person. If you like an episode that I don't like, then I'm glad you can find good things in those episodes or seasons that I can't find. Or same with like bad episodes that I think are good and you guys don't like. Like I said, it's only my silly own personal opinion, so don't take it to heart. Anyway, with all that said and done, let's get into ranking all the SpongeBob seasons 1 through 12. So let's start with number 12 and my personal least favorite season, and that would be season 6. Yeah, this wasn't a big surprise, was it? There's just so many just stupid stuff in this season. This is just where everyone just lost interest in the show at this point. There was nothing interesting about this season at all that really made anyone want to be like, yeah, this is the SpongeBob we all know and love. There was just nothing in this season that really stood out. The only remarkable thing is that it was during the 10-year anniversary, but this is a pretty weak season to have the 10-year anniversary in. Although I do really like the episode Truth or Square, or sorry, the special Truth or Square, I feel like having it in season 6 kind of just doesn't work. Plus, there was a lot of pretty bad episodes in this season, like Choir Boys, Cephalopod Lodge, Boating Buddies, Professor Squidward. If you notice some of those bad episodes that I'm talking about, a lot of them have to do with one simple thing, and that is Squidward torture. I get it. Squidward has done things to deserve getting maybe tortured a little bit in some episodes, but then they go way out in this season and make basically half the episodes be Squidward torture. Whether if that's the whole episode or only part of the episode. And if it isn't Squidward getting tortured, then it's Patrick being a jerk. Even if Squidward isn't anyone's favorite character, it just makes you wonder, what did he do to deserve all of this? Even though seasons 4 and 5, you could see it a little bit. This season, though, they went all out and made a whole bunch of Squidward torture and just, ugh. There was only like 2 good episodes this season, which were Single Cell Anniversary and Suction Cup Symphony. There were some other good ones in here too, but I mean, when I think of season 6, those are the only 2 good episodes I think of. But you just think of season 6 and you just think, yeah, well, this is mid SpongeBob. I don't even think a lot of the episodes that I mentioned were even bad. The ones that were just like in the middle in this season are just super boring. The jokes just aren't there, and everything is just so stupidly long, paced, and filler. And it's only 11 minutes, too. It's not that long, and we're getting just a whole lot of nothing from this season, which is not good. And then we have all the stupid gross out scenes, too, like in House Fancy, where we have that whole infinite toenail scene. Ugh. And then the one where it's it's a storm outside, so they go to SpongeBob's house to stay, and Squidward rips his whole friggin' skin. Ugh. Yeah, we've had a lot of that this season, and some of it isn't too bad, and other parts is just like so unnecessary. And you gotta love the one-dimensional era of characters as well. Every character had one personality, and that was it. SpongeBob was the loud, obnoxious, happy guy. Patrick was the so stupid that he's a jerk guy. Squidward was the grumpy guy and gets tortured all the time because of it. Mr. Krabs was the greedy guy and gets mean because of it. Sandy was the scientist I don't know. Plankton was the evil guy. Karen was the wife. Pearl was the annoying teenager. Mrs. Puff was the boning teacher, and Larry was the cool guy-ish. There's just nothing else I really have to say about this season. There's nothing else, as I said, that I have to say about this season. It is easily the worst season out of SpongeBob, and it's what I consider the worst. Now let's move on to number 11, which is Season 7. Yeah, remember everything I said about Season 6? Well, here you go, it's Season 6 2.0. This season is almost so bad that it could be interchangeable with Season 6. Like, it's literally just as pointless as that season. Why is it bad? Well, you have a lot of, yet again, just bad filler episodes with these new one-dimensional characters. I feel like they did sort of cut back on the Squidward torture in this episode, but now we got a lot of episodes with Patrick being a jerk, and those aren't any better. Like, we get Big Sister Sam, and, Stuck in the Ringer, and probably the worst episode out of any SpongeBob episode to date, Yours, Mine, and Mine. Good lord. That episode's just a train freaking wreck, and I'm not going to talk too much about those episodes, since I already did when I talked about the best and worst seasons 7, 8, and 9 episodes. And even if Yours, Mine, and Mine isn't anyone's favorite episode, this is the season that was home to what a lot of people could consider was the worst episode, One Course Meal. Which, I mean, not gonna lie, it's not a good it's definitely not a good episode, but there's so many other worser episodes in this season that I just forget about your One Course Meal. And the suicide stuff just tells you that they're out of ideas and they're ready to just quit at this point, which would be honestly kind of sad, just because that would not be cool seeing SpongeBob drop this far in quality and then just get stuck at stuff like Yours, Mine, and Mine and One Course Meal. The suicidal stuff in SpongeBob just doesn't work at all whatsoever. And not only did we get one with Plankton in this season, but we got another one in another season that we'll talk about later. I feel like the only reason why I put this season above Season 6 is because I feel like there's more episodes that I enjoy in this season. Like, I love episodes like the Earworm episode, or Squidward and Clarinet Land, and of course Perfect Chemistry. Like, there's some good episodes in this season that I couldn't really find in Season 6, because every single episode in that season, including some of my favorites, are just so filler friendly. I feel like this season cut back a little bit on the filler stuff, but only a little, which that's probably the only reason why it's better than Season 6. Besides that, this is still easily my second least favorite season. Yet again, nothing else I really have to say. If you want to watch a bad season, well, here's Season 7. It's not as bad as Season 6, but it's definitely the second worst. Now let's move on to number 10, which is Season 5. This episode is this season is a little better than season 7, but only by a little bit. Enough that I wouldn't consider it interchangeable, but, like, not enough to be considered, oh yeah, this is definitely miles better than what we've been getting. For a third time, this season just has a lot of problems that season 6 and 7 do. Squidward torture, Patrick being a jerk, filler episodes, one-dimensional characters, you know it. However, I don't feel like they went quite as hard on the season with all that stupid stuff like they did in season 6 and 7. We didn't get too many Squidward torture or Patrick being jerky episodes. Which, that's nice. And this was still in the process of them going downhill. Like, they weren't completely down at the bottom yet, but they were going downhill, and this season definitely proved it. But, I mean, it wasn't the worst ever. We got some alright episodes here and there, like, I actually didn't mind Atlantis Square Panis. I didn't talk about that episode at all, or special at all, just because it wasn't on any of my lists. Everyone seems to hate that episode, but I really like that one just because it almost is like if the SpongeBob cast was in like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That's what I always thought, at least. I love that, and all the songs are pretty good too. Like I said, season 5, that's one thing I like about the mid-seasons. They had a bunch of good songs. And we did have some good episodes here and there, like Krabs a la Mode, or like the Two Faces of Squidward, and a few others, but I mean, some of those episodes were pretty good, and they didn't feel like filler like some of the other episodes do. But that doesn't mean this season was perfect either, because we definitely did get a handful of bad episodes. Like Friend or Foe, I like that episode, but because it's in season 5, it's so filler, and I just feel like it drags on. And it has some really unlikable characters in that episode as well. Or like the Krusty Sponge, where it just completely tortures Squidward for no reason. And the same can be said with good old What's-Its-Name. I don't know how I really feel about this season. It's just kind of a mixed bag. I'm not calling it neutral. I still think this season is pretty far from neutral. I still think it's a pretty bad one. But at least it's more watchable than the other two that we talked about. Overall, though, this is still easily the third worst season out of them all. So let's move on now to number 9, which this one might actually shock you, but that is Season 4. Oh yeah, I already see the dislikes happening. Don't get me wrong, Season 4 is not a bad season. I feel like after Season 5, the seasons aren't bad anymore. I think they start getting better, but, well, next on the list is Season 4. Season 4 was the first season that I ever got, and because it was the first one I ever got, a lot of the episodes in this season really got really repetitive because I've seen it so many times. Season 1 was the second season I ever got, but I guess at that point I didn't rewatch it all the time. That made it seem very repetitive. I don't know what I have to think about this season, because there was some parts where it really reminds me of classic SpongeBob, but then there's other parts where it's kind of like, I could definitely see this being like on par with some of the episodes and some of the bad episodes in the mid-seasons. So let's start with the positives. I really like how this season isn't really filler-friendly as like we got in season 6 and 7, which that alone is very nice. Like, I think that's the most, like, the best we've gotten so far, with barely any filler in it. That's not to say that all the episodes aren't filler-friendly, but it's definitely a lot better than what we've been getting. The characters, you can sort of tell they're not really themselves, but they're definitely better than what they were in seasons 6 and 7. And there's some actually pretty good episodes, like The Best Day Ever and Krusty Towers. The very first one, A Fear of a Krabby Patty, which is a good welcome to this season. And of course, Have You Seen the Snail, which is an actual good Gary episode, because if you know, Gary is probably my least favorite main character in SpongeBob, because of how obnoxious he can be in some episodes. But no, Have You Seen the Snail was actually a really good special. We also didn't have any of those shorts like what we have for Season 5, which is something I forgot to mention about that. How Season 5 had so many shorts, but this one we don't have any shorts, which is nice. Now the negatives. Besides this being a really repetitive and even kind of an overrated season, it's not good. Because already it's the most overrated out of like the modern SpongeBob seasons, you gotta know it. It loses some points there, because if you know me, like, I've talked about Booksquirm and Wally Japinball, like, you know me. And also, we have some pretty bad stuff in this season that started a lot of the stuff I hate about the mid-seasons, which is Squidward torture and Patrick being a jerk. which at times I think there's actually more Squidward torture and Patrick being a jerk episodes in this season than there is in season 5. I mean, ugh. We had frickin' All That Glitters, which is a junk mess. Roll of Dumb, Good Neighbors, Driven to Tears. Ugh, Crabs versus Plankton. Ugh, these are all bad episodes. I haven't talked about Crabs versus Plankton yet either, because the episode, I think it's okay, but I just don't like everyone just seems super unlikable in this episode. Oh, actually no, Plankton seems really unlikable in this episode. And then we had stuff like The Gift of Gum, which is another one of those Patrick being a jerk episodes. Like, this season, it really started a lot of that stuff. Is it the worst? Absolutely not. There's definitely some good things I do like about this season, but the best mid/modern season? Absolutely not. There is a lot better stuff we get nowadays than in this season. I think this is the more neutral season out of them all, because it goes half and half. I like some of the episodes, then I hate some of the episodes. I like what they did in Season 4, then at the same time, I hate what they did in Season 4. It's somewhat overrated, but at the same time, it's not overrated, it's not the most overrated thing in SpongeBob. But yes, Season 4 is next. After Season 4, we go to Season 8. I feel like this season is really interchangeable with Season 4 because if you know, I know not a lot of people know that I have a second channel, but I have a second channel where I've ranked every episode from every season and every season already. And I put Season 8 before Season 4, but I don't know. After thinking about it, I think I like Season 8 better than Season 4. This was the season that, everyone didn't really think it was ever going to improve after those 2 trashy seasons we got, but actually, I think it improved a lot in this season. We do get a few filler stuff in this season, but it definitely is not as extreme as what we've been getting. A lot of the characters are starting to become not as one-dimensional either, which is very nice to see. Plus, we have some really good episodes in this season, and I love how, yet again, we just have a good season with good music. I love the mid-season music, and no one ever talks about how good those music is in those seasons. This is what I consider the musical season, since we had Sweet and Sour Squid, which was a good episode, which had a really good song in it, and then we had Hello Bikini Bottom, which was a musical episode altogether. Imagine something like High School Musical in SpongeBob, or Hairspray in SpongeBob, Grease in SpongeBob. Ugh, I can imagine so many funny episodes now. I like the specials we got this time around too. It was only 4, and all 4 of them were pretty good. SpongeBob Christmas is probably the worst one out of them all, just because, But the Ghoul one is pretty good, and of course Hello Bikini Bottom is awesome, and frickin' Frozen Face Off. Ugh, those ones are awesome. And then we got some other good episodes too, like Planet of the Jellyfish. There were just so many good episodes this season. I mean, yeah, not all episodes were good. It is still Season 8, so expect a few Patrick, Jerk, and Squidward torture episodes, but those are really few nowadays. Usually the only bad one I can think of is the Googly Artist and the Smooth Jazz at Bikini Bottom episode. And yes, I know, everyone hates Pet Sitter Pat, which I can totally see, but I mean, I just think there's other episodes that are a lot worse than this one. Patrick torturing Gary is not fun to see, but at the same time, it was a lot better than seeing Gary torture SpongeBob in Gary Takes a Bath, or a few other episodes we got. I find Patrick at least giving Gary what he deserves, because, I don't know, I just hate Gary Takes a Bath that much, I guess. Plus, the episode ended good, too, so it's well, I don't really hate it. It's definitely not my favorite in this season. I can see why anyone would hate it, but it's not bad. I think ones that are worse than that are stuff like Way of the Sponge, where you have this obnoxiously annoying instructor, and then frickin' Are You Happy Now, which is the other suicidal episode. Yeah, see, that's the stupid stuff to put in SpongeBob. This is the stuff that you can tell that SpongeBob creators haven't quite woken up yet, but besides that, I just feel like this season's a lot more likable than Season 4. I think it's just because it's not as overrated as that season. This season is extremely underrated, I think. And that's a shame because there was a lot of good episodes and good music in this season. Is it perfect? No, definitely not. There's still a lot of problems we have in this season that we've had in seasons 6 and 7. But is it better? Definitely. Anyway, let's move on to number 7, I believe it is, which is Season 9. I could consider seasons 4 to 9 the mid SpongeBob, and out of all of them, Season 9 is easily the best out of them all. Why? Well, for starters, it took the longest to make, I think, except for maybe Season 12? I don't know, but it took a long time to make because this was right in the middle of the second SpongeBob movie. But what I like about this season is that this season could almost be confused with one of the original seasons, which is nice. Like, you're going to have a hard time finding bad episodes in this season because there's a very few of them. To me, it's almost like Season 8 2.0, but just like they fixed even more problems. Like, we're finally getting better side characters again, like Spot, for an example, which that episode is amazing, for an example. And this season, I could consider all the filler stuff, like, completely gone, which is nice. Season 8 was the last season, I think, that had some of the filler stuff. But this season, I can't find any filler things in this season. And finally, no more depression episodes. Well, besides that one episode where SpongeBob gets depressed. But that's only for a little bit of the episode. There's a lot of good episodes, too, like, the Spot episode, and, of course, What's Eating Patrick. You can't forget about that one. A few others that I just can't remember. And they definitely, yet again, dialed down on the Squidward torture and Patrick being a jerk episodes. At this point, basically, usually about one episode per season has to have a Squidward torture in it or Patrick being a jerk, which is a lot better than, like, every episode, like what we used to get. And there's just so many underrated episodes of the season that never gets talked about, like the Thumb episode. Like, I could just keep going on and on. It's not a perfect season, though, because there is, like, one or two episodes that I don't like Mutiny on the Krusty, for an example. That one could be literally a Season 7 episode, and no one would have ever blinked an eye. And a few other episodes are just mediocre as well, like Squid Baby or the Little Yellow Book. SpongeBob, You're Fired ain't the best thing ever either, but, I mean, even then, like, the only episode that's bad would be Mutiny on the Krusty. And even then, I would take Mutiny on the Krusty over something trashy like Yours, Mine, and Mine. Overall, I think this season is really good. Like, we're out of the bad stuff, and all the other seasons, like, from here on out, I could consider really good. Season 9 definitely is a really good season. The only reason why I wouldn't put it above seasons 1 through 3 or 10 through 12 is because some of the episodes felt a little boring in this season. Besides, like, my favorites and then, like, my least favorites, all the others are just fine. Like, I don't really remember any of the episodes. They're good, but, I mean, I just kind of forget them a little bit. Plus, we're still lacking in the jokes, and we're still trying to recover from all the season 6 and 7 crap we had. Anyway, season 9, definitely an awesome season. Now let's move on to number 6, I think it is, which is season 3. Woo boy. Okay, I know, I'm gonna get so many dislikes from this. First season 4, and now season 3? What? And season 3 being worse than all the other seasons? What? Well, not the worst one, but not my favorite either. Only number 6? How dare me? I guess I should explain myself here. Don't get me wrong, I like this season a lot. There was so many good things that I really do like about this season, so I guess I should explain why it isn't my favorite. Overall, like I said, it's a good season. I just feel like this season is extremely overrated, like to the max. It's always everyone's favorite season, which I can see, but at the same time, I just enjoy other seasons more. And also because there is a few episodes in this season that I generally don't like Club SpongeBob, for an example. Ugh. And then you gotta have frickin' As Seen on TV, which is the first, like, filler episode we've ever gotten. I understand if people like episodes like As Seen on TV, but to me, that's just a whole load of nothing. It's just SpongeBob thinking that he's cool, and then doing different stuff because of it, and then singing a very boring song, The Striped Sweater. Like, I don't know what's interesting about that. And then we get Party Pooper Pants, which is yet again a poopy episode. And besides from that, all the other episodes in this, well, not all of them, but a lot of the other episodes in this season are just extremely overrated. Like Chocolate with Nuts, for an example. I love this episode, but it's just everywhere you go. Chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. And then there's all the season 3 songs too. Oh, and then there's the camping episode, which is okay. It's like Club SpongeBob, but like done better, I think. Squidward gets tortured more in the right rather than in the wrong, sort of ish. I don't know. And then we have the flying episode, which every person in Bikini Bottom is a complete jerk besides SpongeBob. That episode almost kind of reminds me of the giant Squidward episode from season 6, I believe it was, where Squidward becomes giant and literally everyone in Bikini Bottom is a jerk and only uses Squidward, and that's what they're doing with SpongeBob in this episode, or special. I feel like the songs just really lacked in this season. Well, not that. I just feel like they were extremely overrated, and I don't know why. They aren't really that catchy. The striped sweater was boring. The campfire song is just okay. Any song from the SpongeBob's flying episode is boring. Like none of the songs in this season really stood out to me. I could take anything in season 8 over season 3. Sorry, I'm just saying. But don't get me wrong, I do like this season. There's a lot of good episodes, like not Friend vs. Foe. The algae is always greener. I always get those two mixed up. I feel like that episode's a very good welcome into season 3. And then we have a bunch of other good episodes too, like Ugh, and the chocolate episode, of course. Squilliam Returns, The Idiot Box. Like, there's a lot of just classic good episodes in season 3. And this, yet again, is what many people consider the golden era of SpongeBob. And I can agree. Now, sure, though, out of the golden era, season 3 would have to be my least favorite, just because I just feel like it's a lot more overrated than seasons 1 and 2 are. Just look at season 1. I think that season is extremely underrated, except for, like, the Krusty Krab pizza, but I don't know. I just don't like this season as much as other people do. It's definitely a good season, but the best SpongeBob season of all time? Absolutely not. Now let's move on to number 5, which is season 1. Now, yeah, I can see why people wouldn't put this as their favorite season either, and I can see why. This is kind of like the Mario Party 1, Mario Kart on the SNES, Smash Bros. 64 type of season. It was their first attempt of doing a show, and, I mean, it was really well, so they ended up doing 12 seasons, 13 actually. Which, yeah, this season may be a little slower than some of the other seasons, but at least it isn't fillery slow. I just feel like this season is extremely underrated. There's a lot of good episodes in this season, like Karate Choppers, Arg, Rock Bottom, Jellyfish Freaking Jam, which actually has some good jamming music, and of course the Krusty Krab Pizza. Which I think the Krusty Krab Pizza episode is a lot better than episodes like Club SpongeBob or the camping episode from season 3. Because that episode was actually funny and silly, and Squidward didn't get tortured too much in that episode. Well, not too much that made it annoying. Besides, this was only season 1, where they didn't even know Squidward was going to be a big punching bag in season 6 and 7. All the characters are really likable, and I really love Patrick in this season too, because I think he's the most hilarious in this season, just because this is the most, like, friendliest Patrick we'll ever get. He was pretty friendly in seasons 2 and 3, and modern SpongeBob now too, but I mean, season 1 has to be the best season with Patrick. The only bad episode with him in it is Valentine's Day, and even then, that episode isn't really bad, or him being bad in that episode. And we got Help Wanted, and I can go on forever. Yeah, the season isn't perfect, with a few duds in this season, like Fools in April, which I'm sure a lot of people can consider a pretty bad episode in this season. I Was a Teenage Gary, a lot of people don't like either, which I don't hate it, but I could see why people don't like it. The Paper is a pretty annoying episode because it's just SpongeBob putting a paper over his face the whole time and calling it fun. That's a Squidward torture episode. Jellyfishing is another Squidward torture episode, and then you have stuff like the Sandy's Rocket episode, which is annoying Sandy episode. Neptune Spatula, which is a boring mess of an episode with Neptune being stupidly unlikable. So there was a lot of pretty bad episodes in this season, but I mean, there was also like there was a lot more of the good episodes that really made the bad episodes kind of just like there was more good episodes than bad episodes, basically. Yeah, the graphics are a little wonky, but you know what? It's all right. This season, I like this season a lot. I think it's better than the overrated season 3. With that, let's move on to number 4, which is season 2. I know, no one's going to agree with me at all. Everyone could consider, I'm sure I know what some people's lists would be, and just because they're all so similar. Season 3 is the best, followed by 2, 1, 4, then maybe like a 10 or 11 or 12, something like that. So yeah, apparently all classic seasons are worse than the 3 modern seasons. Out of the 3 classic seasons, though, season 2 just has to be the best. There's just so many good episodes this season that it's a lot better than some of the stuff we got from seasons 3 and 1. But man, talk about good episodes like Krusty Love, or Your Shoes Untied, Shanghai, or even stuff like Doodle Bob, and oh, what's that one episode that I really like? I can't ever remember it. Big Pink Loser, that's what it is. Something Smells like, oh wow, there's just so many the Fry Cook Games. There's just so many good episodes in this season. The Christmas episode, like, and I like a lot of the music we got in the season as well. I'm not really a big fan of the classic SpongeBob music, especially from season 3, but season 2 actually had some pretty good tunes. Plus, basically all the characters were extremely likable this season, as always. Oh, you also can't forget about Graveyard Shift. You cannot forget about that one. That one is an amazing episode. Like, man, there was a lot of... This is what screams classic SpongeBob to me. I love this season to death. I love season 2. Yeah, though, like all seasons, though, it's not perfect, because we did have a few just meh episodes, like Pressure, which was an annoying Sandy episode, or Squirrel Jokes, which was another annoying Sandy episode. And then probably my second least favorite episode of all time, Gary Takes a Bath. I hate this one so much. This was the episode that made Gary a super unlikable, jerk. I hate him. I hate him more than Patrick. Speaking of Patrick, we had another bad Patrick episode, which was I Am With Stupid, which kind of started the bad Patrick episodes, but at the same time, we didn't really get any bad ones in season 3, so this was kind of like a oopsie, I guess if you can call it that. Season 4 started the jerk Patrick episodes. Overall, I love this season, and I can skip those 2 bad episodes, and I can watch the rest of this season, and I love it. Now we'll move on to number 3, which is season 11. Oh man, there's just something about this season that I really like. I love how in this season we're starting to get, we're back to basically classic SpongeBob. In my opinion, I think it's better than classic SpongeBob. Just because I love how, literally they're like, fine, you don't like one-dimensional characters? Then they will have, all the personalities in the world, and I love it. I'm tired of choir boys and all that stupid stuff, and yours, mine, and mine. So, fine, we'll just make all the characters, literally not one-dimensional at all. Even the characters who are one-dimensional in the original seasons. Like Mrs. Puff and Larry, for an example, has so much. They're so much better now because they just are a lot more likable, and even Pearl. And man, there's a lot of good episodes in this season, like Karen's Virus and the Bottle Burglars, just naming a few, and even the one where we've had 4 characters return: Spot, the Dirty Bubble, Plankton's Grandma, and freaking Doodle Bob, and all 4 of those episodes are amazing. There's only a few duds in this season, but they're very, just not super big. And those are just stuff like Cuddly Hugs and Ink Lemonade, and even those aren't, the worst of the worst. I consider stuff like Yours, Mine, and Mine, literally any of the worst episodes from season 7 or 6, a lot worse than the worst episode in this season. And there is no filler at all whatsoever anymore. Everything is all fast-paced now, actually, which I enjoy. You could tell that the creators were just asleep, and now they're finally awake, and they're getting on to their episodes again. I love the callbacks to the show as well, which is amazing. Anytime they sing the SpongeBob theme song, ugh. This season is just amazing. I love it. And yeah, I know there's a lot of people who are basically every single person who watches this video is going to disagree with me because I mean the classic era SpongeBob is what people really liked. And that's fine. I could totally see why people love those ones. But I mean, these seasons are just extremely underrated, and I love these ones. So, season 11. Awesome season. So let's move on to number dos, which is season 12. Basically, just season 11 2.0. And also, another awesome, amazing season. I think the only reason why this season's better is just because I think it has better episodes overall. Like, I've seen season 11 enough to know what all the episodes are, but season 12, every time I watch the season, a lot of the episodes just feel like brand new again to me. And yes, I've only seen season 12 a total of 2 times, but you know what? I've only seen it that enough to know where to put it on my list. Okay, yeah, the first time I watched it all through, I would admit it wasn't my favorite season ever, but once I rewatched it again, it was a lot better the second time I rewatched it. I was like, oh yeah, this episode's good, this episode's good. And like season 11, they did a lot of callbacks to the original seasons, which I really like, and heck, even in better ways. Like, for example, we got Dream Hoppers, which was a much better episode from the Dream one from season 1. We got Broken Alarm, which was one of my favorite episodes of all time. And this was the season that celebrated the 20th anniversary. And it's a lot better putting an anniversary in season 12 than frickin' season 6. And SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout was actually a really mind-blowing special that I actually didn't hate Patchy in for once. Thank God, because this guy was annoying. And even though I liked Truth and Square, I think SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout was better than Truth or Square. But I think everyone can agree with that. And you gotta love how Bubble Bass is becoming more of a regular character again. Because we didn't really get to see him we didn't really see him at all from seasons like 2 till like 10, I want to say. We saw him maybe once or twice, but like, not a lot. And now he has a mother that we somehow didn't see till season 11, and we've gotten a lot more Bubble Bass Center episodes, and that makes him a lot more likable than just in Pickles from season 1. And this was the first season to ever have like interchangeable episodes, if you know what I mean, where we get to see like 2 episode plots happening at one time, if you know what I mean. Like we had an episode where Bubble Bass and Patrick are in the, I guess, swamp, and then the episode later, we see Sandy investigating some trees that were at that same swamp that Patrick and Bubble Bass were in, and we even see them paddling by. Like, what? This is so cool. The only bad episode this season was Senior Discount, and I don't even think that episode was even that bad. It was just more annoying. Maybe just because Old Man Jenkins just gets his way and he just doesn't deserve it. I mean, yeah, this season did have quarantine crabs, but you know what? They banned that episode, so I think that was the right choice. Overall, after I rewatched season 12, I found it a lot more better than I thought I originally liked it. So, season 12, an awesome, yet again, another extremely underrated season. Now let's move on to number 1, which is season 10. There's just something about this season that I just really like. I don't know what it is. I guess this is the first season that really stepped into the modern era of SpongeBob, and I adore it. But I mean, man, talk about striving for originality. We've had the incredible Shrinking Sponge, we've had Snooze You Lose, and probably my favorite episode of all time is in this season, Krusty Catering. That episode is chaotic, and I love every single second of that episode. I think that is the main reason why I like Season 10 so much. Not just that episode, but there's just so many interesting and cool episodes in this season. Lost and Found, Random Land. Oh wait, that was Season 12. I forgot to talk about that one. That one's really good as well. This season is so good that there's not even a bad episode this season. The worst we get is the Clams episode, short, that we have after the housewarming episode. And I don't even hate housewarming or Whirly Brains or any of the lower episodes. You know, the ones that aren't quite as good as the others. Because even then, I don't hate any episode in this season. Not even the one we have of Prickles, whatever his name is, the worm. Plus, this season confirms that Mrs. Puff and Mr. Krabs are still dating, so thank God for that. And we've had what a lot of people can say is one of the best episodes we've gotten in a long time, Mimic Madness, which I can see I like this episode, with a really catchy song in it as well, probably the only song from Season 10. The only negative thing about this season is that it's way too frickin' short. There was only a few episodes this season. This is the shortest season we've ever gotten, but you know what? This season is just so good. It's the most perfect we're gonna get, in my opinion. So I can't wait to see how Season 13 turns out. I feel like it'd probably be around the Season 12 or 11 era, but I guess maybe eventually I'll have to talk about those episodes. And wow, about a month and a half later, and we've talked about SpongeBob. This was actually a lot of fun, and I'm glad that none of these episodes got copyright at all, because, I mean, it's a lot easier than doing the rankings, and I know the pictures aren't as fun as the videos, but unfortunately I would just get copyright. And then I'd feel like a whole lot of work for nothing, and I've done that with stuff like ranking all Bluey episodes, and that didn't work at all. And I even tried to rank all Timothy Goes to School, and that didn't work either. So basically, if it's anything in the 2000s and up, I'm not going to be doing any sort of videos. But yeah, it was fun talking about SpongeBob, one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I hope you've enjoyed all these SpongeBob rankings and top 10s or whatever, because these were kind of fun to do. I have some things in mind that we're going to be doing. I know this year only began, but like there's already something I'm thinking about bringing back this year, which I'm not going to talk about what it is yet, because that wouldn't be fun. Some more Mario stuff. I know we're going to have the new waves coming out soon, and maybe a few more shows. If you have any shows in mind that you would like me to rank, let me know down in the comments. I know I already had a show get requested to me, which I'm not going to explain what that show is yet, but I'll have to think about that one. But if you have any other shows in mind, let me know down in the comments. I will tell you this, I will not be ranking all the stupid stuff like Family Guy, because absolutely not. I only rank good shows. I don't rank trash shows. Just kidding. If you like Family Guy, then I'm glad you like it, but ugh, no way, Jose. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.